This is kind of the topic that I wanted to bring up with the whole teens and screens, which I think is a huge, huge hot topic because this is okay. We are the first generation of parents to ever navigate the internet with our children. We're the first generation of parents to navigate internet.
Like
YouTube,
the .com
like
world,
social media,
everything.
everything. Yes, absolutely.
I
Our
remember
parents
when
didn't
MK
deal with
was
that.
born, it was like just becoming a thing to have a BlackBerry.
Right.
Remember that?
But the
It wasn't even
BlackBerry-
have a real screen. It just had like email.
No.
There wasn't anything happening in it.
No, it just had the little red light that blinked when you had a message or whatever. The world that we live in now is so like it's not even something that our parents like if we were to ask our parents what did you do when blah 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 and ask like older generations advice, they don't have anything to gauge from. They don't have that. We are the first ones navigating
I see
this
what you're
world.
saying. Like, we don't get to go to them and be like, how did you handle the screen thing with your kid? The
Yeah.
same way that you would be like, okay, hey, Dad, did you spank or not spank? They have an answer. We don't have it. They don't have a thing to say to us for like screen versus not.
No, because we don't have.
But every parent in our group is going to say one day, of course we let them have their screens. Like, who wants to fight that battle?
Because there are some people that fight that battle.
I do like that it exists as a thing that I can constantly take away.
So it is a really good carrot to dangle. Mm-hmm. It's used for really awesome consequences and discipline. However,
They know how to get around it, though.
They do.
Well, the older ones. So the other day,
Yeah, they
MK
do.
was being so bad. I'm like, well,
Give me your
now
phone.
your phone is shut down. I don't even take it. We just shut it
You
down.
can't. They're not going to hand it to you.
She won't hand it to me, but now I'm going to make her hand it to me, or I'll wrestle her for it, even though I'll lose. Because she's like, go ahead, shut it down. I know how to get around it. They can hack their way out of everything.
I know.
Why don't you hack yourself out of your conspiracy theory?
Right. I know people that whose kids have gotten their phones taken away or their iPad or whatever, and then they have a secret stash of an old phone
God.
an old iPad from their friend's brother that was like, not using that phone anymore. It was like a older generation, whatever, but they can still hook up to Wi-Fi and still connect somehow.
And they also have all of those secret, like, what do you call those? It used to have a name on Instagram, Finsta or whatever.
They have all the secret accounts.
But now they have those on everything.
Yeah.
Like MK's got like 3 like private trashy accounts. I'm like, how am I supposed to follow all of these and see all of the bad things that you're doing? You have 4 accounts.
That's the point. You're not supposed to follow them.
Oh.
She's got the account that you follow, and then she's got her real account that her friends follow.
Right. And then
Yeah.
she's got private for when she's saying like the wrong thing.
I love when
Oh my
I
God.
love when I have, because I have some friends with younger kids, and I've kind of gone through these stages with my older teens. And when I say like, they're like, oh yeah, I finally let her get an Instagram or a Snapchat or whatever. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, you can forbid it all you want. They're going to do it behind your back, period. They are.
I know. Well, Frank's only 10 and she keeps getting TikTok.
But so
I'm trying to hold that off until their age ends in teen.
Yeah.
Because TikTok is not appropriate.
no, you
for
can
a
find
second.
so many
Oh my
things that are
God.
inappropriate. I hate TikTok. But anyway, they will get around it, but I love the friends of mine who have said, yeah, mine doesn't have that Finsta or that fake account or whatever.
Yes,
And
they
I'm like,
do.
Okay.
That's where they do the stuff that they're not supposed to do.
So when you go on there and, my kid only posted 2 pictures in the last year, that's because that is the account that they let you follow. Wake up and smell the coffee, mama.
It's sad
I'm just
though
saying,
because
it sucks.
children have a tendency to have who they truly are and then their naughty self. I mean, that's how my Rose is. MK is so freaking honest. I'm like, can you not say that in front of me? She's like, I'm just being honest. I'm like, don't. take your honesty out the door to your Finsta. I don't want to hear how graphic you are.
Yeah.
Give me your fake self.
Right.
Please.
I know. And
I mean, not really.
There's pros and
but
cons to both.
Jesus.
I don't like oversharers either. My daughter has overshared stuff with me before. Stuff that I do not want to know.
I know
About friends or
everything.
about
and I
and
know
I'm like,
that that is a blessing because then my next daughter is so secretive and I'm like,
yeah, those are the
find
ones
you
need
in
to
an alley one day, but MK, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what you're doing. Also, can you just take like 9,000 steps back away from me?
Yeah. But so as a parent, do you feel, I mean, do you just give them like free reign of social media devices?
As far as like, well, we don't have an abundance of devices in our house.
Well, your teens have phones, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's their connection to the world.
Well, yeah. I don't police it as far as like, I mean, some moms have those little like nerdy stations where they're like, okay, bedtime, put your phone in there.
And the charging station in
Yes.
the kitchen.
Yeah.
So that they don't have devices in their
Yes.
bedrooms.
I don't have that.
I tried it.
You did?
Well, I tried it with my older ones. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not controlling that way.
I was not at first because with my daughter, she had self-discipline. She was always getting very good grades. She was always, she never had a problem getting up and getting to school in the morning. She was always in a sport. So once I saw that it started affecting their lives or their functioning on a regular basis, that's when I had to put a hard stop to that because I would see that the screens were taking over their lives. It was affecting their sleep. It was affecting their mood. There are studies that show that. And, I mean, there are studies that have shown that kids spend an average of, I think the teen boys spend an average of over 11 hours per day playing video games per day. That's insanity.
I think that might be its own little like mini beast of screen time though is the video games. Mm-hmm. Because there's all of that stuff like, the anxiety and I mean there's a million different things to argue like that idea of you see somebody that looks perfect, right? Through your phone.
Through the filters.
Well, yeah, all of that. And then
It's an illusion.
Well, but they don't know that.
No, they don't.
And then they're like, why can't I look like this? Why can't I look like that?
Yep.
And then all of like the anxiety and everything that comes with this pretend strive to be perfect.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing
That's
for these
its
kids.
own like beast of psychology. And then there's the like amount of time in a screen and how that's affecting your actual lifestyle. I mean, you could argue a million different points to all of it, but there's the lifestyle part, but then there's also like the mood, right? Or the whatever you want to call that, the emotional health that deteriorates.
The self-esteem that
well, they're already having
that
bad
gets crushed.
self-esteem, and then.
Well, yeah. I mean, do you remember
But
when
I
we
do
were
too.
kids?
Don't you? I am also affected by it, and I'm not a teenager.
No, I'm affected by it too as a mom. Like, even as a grown adult?
As a grown woman, take out the mothering part. As a grown woman, right? I mean, sometimes when that people are doing the filter, and I'm like, okay, stop, like, fuzzying out your neck. We all have like these necks that have been holding our voices for so long, and gravity's touching them. Don't blur those out. That just makes you look like you don't want to admit the fact that you've been using your body for 40 years.
Right.
But then the people that are really good at like the filters and are already pretty to begin with and are posing, showing their affluence and everything. I mean, for a second, the second that you see it, human reaction, right, is like, oh, and something negative, right? Like inadequacy or envy or something. And then because we're grown-ups, we can say, well, okay, I'm not going to go into that realm, right? But the teenagers
because we
know.
have the capacity to separate that, and
but
our
they
brains are
don't.
developed.
They see
do
it
not.
and they're like, oh, perfect life and beauty that I don't have. Well, fuck.
I'm a piece of shit.
Right. And then there is no negotiating or capacity to do any sort of resolution.
No.
It's just immediately like,
Shut down.
Right.
So I'm going to cover myself in my blankets, in my bed, in my dark room, while the rest of this group of high school girls goes out and hangs out together, and
Well,
I'm
and
not.
that thing too, though, seeing what people are doing without you.
I think that is one of the hardest things for the teenagers.
The mean girl stuff.
Yes. It hits boys too. It was hard enough when we were kids if you were the one that was left out of a birthday party, right?
But you only knew like every 3 months. You didn't know
If
every
that,
day.
if that.
And when you found
yeah.
out, maybe that day that you found out, you had just learned a new trick on your skateboard and it didn't matter that much.
Right. But this is like, if you're left out and you're on social media, it is in your face,
It's a bad day.
on your feed, nonstop. Everybody's posting photos, hugging, they're all hugging, and you're the
Sharing
one that,
their lice
Yep.
and their COVID.
and they're all, and you're at home.
Right.
That is so hard for these kids.
I
That
know.
is so hard. That is why
They're not meant
therapists
to
are
deal
just
with that.
no,
Because it's
they're
hard
not.
to see as a grown woman.
Yes. And
If
it's
I cared more, sometimes I have to really put myself in that place of caring, right? Like if my self-worth came from being included and being invited to every party, and I really cared, I would be super devastated. I have to imagine that, right? Because that's how they feel. That is their life right
it's hurtful. It's hurtful.
now. It is.
Do you feel that way as an adult? Like with the capacity to
Do I feel hurt if I see that I've been left out?
yes.
It's rare.
Yeah,
But
mine's
that's
rare too.
It's my fault though because I just don't give a freaking shit.
No, I don't
but
either.
So I can't.
People do though.
I know.
They do.
If I gave shits, I would be really hurt. Like it would be a thing in my adult life that I would have to like work through.
Right.
I don't have to work through it because I don't care.
I don't either.
So that's to our advantage.
Very much because
For
the people
sure.
because the people that truly get hurt and take it personally as like a personal like we're purposely
No.
going to leave you out.
There are
That-
people that take that as, oh my God, what's wrong with me? As grown-ups.
I know.
And that's magnified for the kids because it's immediately something's wrong with me.
I know. It's tough. It's hard. But I think that this all wraps up with the whole idea of the screenagers. There's a documentary out right now called Screenagers. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It is